I'd like to call the Transportation Committee meeting to order, Tuesday, October 9th, 2012. Mr. Secretary, let it be known that Councilman Todd Lambert and Councilman Brian Malonson are absent. Councilman Kluwas is going to lead us in the invocation, followed by the pledge.
Everybody, please stand. In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Dear Lord, we thank you for this day. Lord, you blessed us with some beautiful weather and a break in the heat. Lord, let us take advantage of that as much as we can. Lord, at this time of the year, we want to remember all the people that passed away from cancer. Remember them in your prayers. And Lord, let's look on and bestow your blessings on all the survivors as we go into the many celebrations of the survivors, the Relay for Life, and the other things that we enjoy to try to help those people through their terrible time with this debilitating disease and a speedy recovery and a long life. We ask this in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Anyone wishing to speak on any agenda item, please sign in with Ms. Liz. Let you know on the cleanup, item number 6, we're going to pass on. Move on to number 4, road projects. Mr. Ben.
Good evening. On the Roddy Road widening project, we have construction in progress. You may have seen some of that work going on out there. The anticipated completion for that project is in the spring of 2013. Church Point and Roddy Roundabout, the project's in design right now. We have a plan in hand meeting scheduled for later this week, and that'll be following the Ascension Parish Utility Committee meeting. So we'll have the utility companies there, and we can walk out there to see that site and kind of get everybody there while they're there. We're targeting a summer of 2013 construction start for that project. The 2012 maintenance project, geotechnical work is in progress, ongoing. Once we get that in, then we'll be able to finalize the bid package and get that project moving forward. Pavement preservation program, cartograph pavement view module implementation is ongoing. We met with Cartograph. We're getting training on their module that we can do our projections for the maintenance for the entire road network in there. We also have a contract with DTS to acquire the road condition data, and they should be underway in the next couple of weeks, and that's when they're going to go out and scan all our roads and give us the condition of all of them so we can compare them and put them in the right priority for repairs and maintenance. Highway 42 sewer improvements, we're working on getting the lift station properties acquired, and then the park property conversion process is ongoing. That project is scheduled to let in January of 2013, the sewer portion and the clearing and grubbing. So that project's moving forward. Lanes for Change program, I have a short presentation I'm going to give on that, so I'm going to jump down to the state projects update, and then we'll come back up to there. US 61 overlay from 22 to 74. Anticipated completion for that is December of 2012, so we're not too far out on that. 431 roundabout. Most of the work is done out there. They're going to be finalized in November of this year. 431 intersection improvements. The project has been let for construction. The start of construction is supposed to be around November. We really won't see ground being broken probably till early next year on that, but there's some preliminary stuff that'll get going in November. 42 widening project. Right-of-way acquisitions are underway by the state, and we, like I mentioned before, the anticipated letting date for the sewer construction is in January of next year. 73 widening from I-10 to Airline Highway. Anticipated completion is still September of 2013. 431 Gold Place turn lanes. Still working with DOTD trying to get that advertised. I've been talking to FHWA and everybody I can to see what the holdup is on that and trying to get it to move forward. I-10 cable barrier. All the cable barrier has been installed. The contractor's just going back and doing cleanup work and finalizing all that installation. The 22 from 44 to 942, anticipated start of January 2013, and they revised that date back to accommodate the sugarcane harvest. 61 access management at LA 42, that's ongoing and expected to be complete in November, early December of this year. All right, so going back to the Lanes for Change program, this is the half-cent tax proposal.
Hold on Just a second. Did anyone have anything to comment on the rest of the items?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mr. Cloy.
Yeah, Ben, on the Gold Place turn lane, do we have an opportunity to, you need any help, anything to get it off a dead center?
At this point, I'm kind of not sure, who else to bug on that. We've been pushing on it, and everybody that says, well, this person told him that I'd call that person, and it's just been a circle. I kind of worked with them to revise that scope about 8-9 months ago. We laid out a timeline at that point, and the advertisement was supposed to be in, I believe, May or June, and here we are in October, and I haven't gotten a satisfactory answer yet. I'm going to continue pushing on them, and hopefully we can get it moving forward.
Parish President?
I'm going to get with DOTD, and I'll have an answer for you, I can assure you, by the next meeting.
Good deal. Thank you. And one other thing, I want to compliment all your staff, all the DPW department and the administration on the amount of work that we have, projects we have in the till for LADOTD and the work we got coming to Ascension Parish. It's got to be a record of the most improvements ever done. I don't ever remember anything close to it. So we keep moving at it. Thank y'all very much.
Thank you. Go ahead, Ben.
All right. We have a presentation. We pull it up. And this is a Lanes for Change program that we're calling it Lanes for Change, similar to the Green Light program in Baton Rouge. It's a transportation infrastructure improvements program, and I'm just going to run through some of the details of it. It's a parish-wide program. It excludes the municipalities, so Gonzales, Donaldsonville, Sorrento, and some of this is a rehash of the discussions that we had at the council meetings and the tax district meeting, but I just want to kind of revisit it. The project includes construction, acquisition, improvement, and maintenance of roads and bridges in the parish. That's the language that's in the resolution from the council. That's what the money is required to go to. There's no wiggle room there. It's dedicated funds for those purposes. The primary projects in the program, and I'd like to touch a little bit on that too, because we have this primary supplemental projects thing, and what is the reason for that? The financial estimates for what the tax would generate through bonds, through money that can't be bonded, and the revenues that we have were very conservatively estimated. And in order, just to make sure that what we put in there could happen, we were conservative. We overprogrammed intentionally because if tax growth exceeded, and it was estimated at a 1% growth rate, which I think we've exceeded, for many years in a row. Additional revenues, where does that go? And we don't want that to, have sort of a free-for-all or, whatever. We wanted to target that. So we put these supplemental projects in there to kind of guide where this money would go. It's still council approved. The priorities will be set for those supplemental projects. Once we get through the primary projects, we can, get into that supplemental list and, all right, what do we need to do next? But it was intentionally over-programmed to compensate for the conservative nature of the financial estimates. So back to the primary projects in the program. Airline Highway is one element of this. There's some intersection improvements along Airline at 73, 621, and Roddy, and also additional travel lanes on Airline from 42 to Roddy Road. That's putting a third lane in both directions. The future regional corridor, this is another important element of the program. We have this existing ring, if you will, of roads that have regional significance. I mean, it's for going from one part of the parish to the other. We've kind of broken it down to regional corridor stuff and local corridor, and we'll get into some of the local corridor projects in a minute. But this regional corridor is for moving a lot of people distance, and so we kind of identified that, and we helped use that to kind of segregate the project list, looking at our needs, looking at existing transportation reports, identifying where we have problems. Another thing to keep in mind is this is a 25-year tax, so we're kind of looking out into the future, trying. My crystal ball 30 seconds out starts to get a little fuzzy, but we're trying to see where the parish is going and provide for that in this plan, a structured approach to improving the network. Going forward to not only catch us up to where it needs to be, but to position it well for any future growth. that does come this way. The regional corridor improvements, so that we had that ring, these projects are mainly targeted at improving the major intersections along that corridor, preparing it for that future build out. 42 is a good example of kind of what that will eventually look like whenever the new 42 project is done. 4-lane things, people go in a distance, and you're not running down to the corner store. You're going from 42 and 431 over to Prairieville. You're going from Prairieville down to Darrow. You're moving a distance. You're going from your home to your work. These intersections will be improved in a way that lends them to that future build out of that corridor. So it'll help move traffic through those intersections now and prepare us for the future. The local corridor improvements, these are projects that are in there that are fully funded by the half-cent sales tax. It's local money funding local projects. It allows us to move quickly because they're on local roads. We don't have to deal with federal processes and permits through various agencies. A significant number of these could end up being roundabouts. That's something that has to be determined whenever the traffic analysis and prioritization of these primary projects happens. We don't want to start building a block up, start at the top and build down, because if you're building 3 of them right in a row, that doesn't necessarily make sense. We want to kind of spread them out a little bit so that we're not jamming up traffic. You've got construction considerations and all of that. But also, each project may have its own individual challenges. There might be right-of-way issues with some. There might be utility issues with others. And those factors will come in as we move forward on these. But these projects are the ones that we'll be able to move rapidly on. Construction in the first 1, 2, 3 years on a majority of these projects will at least get underway. Bridge replacement and repairs. This is another element of the program. The goal, one of the aspects that it targets, is getting all of our existing bridges to a satisfactory condition. There are a number of bridges in the parish that have an unsatisfactory rating. It doesn't mean that they're going to fall down right now, but through the rating process, they all get a score, and we want to have all of our bridges at that satisfactory or better rating. DOTD, what is their role in all of this? And obviously, they will have a continuing role in Ascension Parish. But they've committed to, as part of our figuring out what our transportation strategy is, our priorities, what's their part going to be, and they've got a number of projects already in the works, and they're committed to those projects. Here's a list of them. And 930 widening is one that's already funded. It's in design right now. There's a number of intersections on 44, and we'll look at a map in a little while that kind of helps make sense of that. But they are targeting that corridor, which 44 will remain forever a state route. It's kind of one of their priorities to help regional connectivity in the big scheme of things. This gets back into the supplemental projects we were talking about earlier. More projects. The primary projects are the priority. They will be funded through this program. They're all part of the initial push. But as I said, if additional tax revenues come in, if our sales tax rate grows and we have more funding than the conservative estimates show, then we'll get into this list, and then it'll be, at that time, it'll be upon the council and the administration to help us prioritize those and say where our current needs are. And remember, this is a program that's going to go out 10, 15, 20 years. Our needs right now are different from what they may be 15 years from now, and so this list will be there and be a guiding element to where those additional funds come in as our sales tax grows. Here's all the projects on the map that you can kind of see. The yellow dots are the local corridor improvements. Again, those are the ones that are fully funded by the tax program, local money funding local projects. The purple dots along 44 are the DOTD funded intersection improvements along that corridor. You can see the airline highway corridor improvements is the red line there. And then we've got some of the supplemental projects in there. Those are the brown lines indicating where our potential future needs will be that we can address with this program as in the out years. So how does the funding work, right? The half-cent sales tax provide bonding capacity for the parish. We can bond that money, and similar to buying a house, you go buy a house, you have that mortgage there, right? You get the house up front. You don't have to pay for 25 years, 30 years, and then you get the house. This allows us to get that money now and apply it to projects. And there's some benefits to that. There's also some negatives. You've got to pay the interest on that, but you're competing against inflation. So there's a construction index that you're competing against. There's also a benefit to having these improvements. I mean, construction is cheaper now than it will be 20 years from now. And by building these things now, we have the benefits now and into the future. So there's that aspect of it. There's a portion of the half-cent sales tax which can't be bonded. You can't bond the full amount. So just like you can't say, this is how much money I make, give me a mortgage that's going to max out my payment, and you've got to buy food, right? So we have these other costs that are associated with that. That bonding capacity is limited to a portion of the tax. The additional amount is money that will still come into the parish, and that can be pay-as-you-go money. It's still going to be dedicated to those purposes that are listed in the resolution: maintenance, construction, building roads, repairing bridges. So that's part of the funding description. How does bonding work? Just to kind of go over this again, it's bonding the proposed sales tax increase means the parish can borrow money based upon future projected income. So we have a tax in place that is projected to generate this much revenue. That amount of future revenue can be bonded and used now, and then we'll pay back interest. So it's a loan on future anticipated income. Bonding gives the parish the money for road improvements now instead of waiting for the sales tax. So again, we have the benefit of those improvements now rather than waiting 15, 20 years to be able to afford some of these improvements. Intersection improvements, the big part of this. And the reason for that is you get a lot of bang for your buck. There's a lot of pinch points in our network where traffic is moving along and then everybody stops at the four-way stop, stops at the intersections. There's numerous corridors. I know I get up to speed and then I stop and I wait and get my turn and I go through and then repeat, going for any length in the parish. So intersections offers us a more affordable way to get immediate improvements. What kind of intersection improvements? Conventional, signalized, and unsignalized. These are mainly along the regional corridor. These are kind of the bigger intersections. Right now we don't anticipate many of those or any of them necessarily being roundabouts, but on some of the local corridors, roundabouts make a lot of sense, and we'll get into a little bit more about the benefits of those. What are they? It's a circular intersection that allows continuous traffic flow. You come in, you go to the right, and you take a right turn, or you can wait to the next, go straight through or continue around the circle and get to any one of the legs of the intersection. They're designed to keep traffic flowing rather than this stop and wait your turn at the four-way stop. Everybody can keep moving. Traffic continues to flow at a reduced speed, but you keep moving. Some of the major benefits of roundabouts, and I'll go through these. They reduce fatalities by up to 90%. And these are statistics from kind of national implementation of these. There's a lot of places that have put some of these in, and these numbers are based on those. Reducing injury crashes up to 76%. Reducing pedestrian crashes up to 30 to 40%, creating up to 75% fewer conflict points in a four-way intersection. I think that reducing fatalities by up to 90%, I mean, that really jumps out at you. That's significant. Roundabouts save money. That's another element. So not only are they efficient and safe, they save us money. They reduce road electricity and maintenance costs. You don't have the maintenance costs and electric bill associated with signals. And then they have a 25-year service life compared to a 10-year for most traffic signal installations. Another thing that's come into this conversation, and which is a separate element, it's not part of the tax, but the DOTD transport program. This is a funding mechanism, if you will, for future road improvements. One of the things that has commonly been said is federal money, state money is drying up. There's not as much of it as there used to be coming to the parish. It's harder to get. That money in the future is going to, if by having a plan in place, having specific projects targeted and our priorities established, we're in a better position to get that money. And by having local match, which the half-cent sales tax would also provide, we can also leverage the opportunities that these federal funding mechanisms have. The transfer program is another mechanism, and this is something that DOTD is eager to try to implement, but they've got numerous roads that in the past connected small population centers throughout Ascension Parish. Well, Ascension Parish has grown to the point where these population centers are sort of a continuous, shade of gray, if you will. And their main focus is maintaining the regional connectivity, the airline highways, the Highway 42, the interstate. These are their priorities. Now, this isn't to say that they've got a bunch of roads that they want to get rid of and they're going to give them to the parish, and then we've got the responsibility for them. Any transfer that is proposed, we'll look at it. There's a value associated with that transfer. There's also a cost associated with that transfer. And will our maintenance system be able to absorb that? These are all things that will be looked at and analyzed and determined and presented to the council for decision. And if the council isn't comfortable taking on a road, we don't transfer that road. But this is another mechanism to try to fund transportation improvement through the parish. We're looking at anything and everything we can because there's a lot of transportation needs, and we don't want to put all of our apples in one cart. But this is an opportunity that there's some synergy with the absent tax proposed, and it will provide money to get some of these projects to the ready stage so that whenever these funds are available, we can go after them and we can say this is what we want to use it on, rather than, hey, give us some money, we have transportation needs. How will the parish afford to maintain all the roads? And I touched a little bit on this, but we are currently implementing a computerized maintenance system, and this is kind of state-of-the-art stuff. We're going to have all of our roads rated. We're going to be able to target the proper treatment for that road. Some of the roads will need to be rebuilt. Some of them need to be sealed. Some of them need mill and overlay. There's different treatments that are different costs. It costs about $300,000 a mile to rebuild a road. Some of the maintenance techniques that we can apply are $3,000 a mile. Now, they don't affect the same thing, and they don't, you can't crack seal a road that needs to be rebuilt. It doesn't get you anywhere, but you can crack seal a road that's early on in its life cycle and extend that life cycle and delay that $300,000 per mile investment, and that's what we're looking to do. By having all of our roads rated and in the computer system, we can look at those comprehensively and see where we need to target our funds. And like I said at a previous presentation, some places have seen upwards of 40, 50, 60% reduction in their maintenance costs. So they're getting ahead of the game by targeting this thing. And similar to if you get a leak in your roof at your house, you don't wait till the whole thing falls apart to go fix it, because then you've got to fix your whole house. You fix the roof. You do that preventative maintenance, keep things in good working order, and you spend less money ultimately. So that's what we've got. That's something that we've been presenting to various groups, and we have some public meetings coming up in the latter half of the month where we'll also be able to present this information.
Appreciate it, Ben. Ms. Castle?
Yeah, Ben, clarify for me with the road transfer program. I assume that we would, since we would have, or our future councils would have the authority to take in a road, that we would not do that unless the funding were available from the state to compensate us for having taken in that road. Am I correct?
Correct. So the agreement will be in place that, we're not going to say, oh, we'll take the road and, you'll give us some money at some point down the future. When DOTD has funding that they can direct to projects and the priorities that we've listed in our plan, we'll kind of see where we're going to try to focus that money. But when they have that money and they can come to us and they say, listen, we've got this funding available. This is a road that we've identified for transfer, that would make this work. So we can say, okay, we want to move forward on this transportation project that we've, done the preliminary for. We've got the match. Here's funding that can come from the state or the federal government. We'll transfer that road if we can show in our maintenance system where we've got all of our roads identified, we've got projected costs for maintenance for all of these roads, we know what our sales income is for the maintenance. All those things have to work, and that has to be presented to the council before the council decides to accept that road. If the numbers don't work, we don't accept the road. We look for another funding mechanism. We can still pursue federal dollars. There's other federal and state funding mechanisms that we can go after. But the reality is that's one of the sources of funds that we're going to have to use in the long run to get our network up. The half-cent sales tax gives us a big boost, helps our infrastructure catch up in a lot of ways, but, we're still going to be pursuing federal dollars that, our taxpayers, our tax dollars go, to them, and this is one of the mechanisms they come back to us in, and, we're going to pursue them every way we can.
Thank you.
Mr. Cloy?
Thank you, Ben. It's a good presentation. I just want to remind everybody that what we're doing here, what we're looking at doing, based on if the people want it and they vote to approve it, we're trying to catch up some time, some lost time, 20, 25 years, trying to catch up, okay? And with the transfer program being a separate issue, is that the advantage of that, when that each item comes up and our staff and everybody looks at it and they come to us and they say, this looks like a good deal, that would be this parish taking advantage of both state and federal monies that we wouldn't normally have. And, that's, it's just not there. If you go to the DOT, the guys are working hard, but they're 25 years behind.
Right. There's a lot of parts to
And we're
this.
just basically coming to straight money coming into us and helping that.
Parish President?
Yes, and if the public wants to certainly look at this plan, it's www.lanesforchange.com. They can certainly go to that website and get all the information that was given here tonight, and hopefully if they have any questions or whatever, there's numbers to call. So certainly want to be transparent about the entire program, and hopefully we can answer the questions to the best of our ability. And certainly there's no cure-all here. I mean, what we're doing, we're working and we're taking care of some of the problems now and looking into the future. So it's not a perfect plan, but it's a good plan, and I think it's a plan that will work and get us to where we need to be at this point, and then move from there on to the future, and take on some of these bigger projects and do what needs to be done.
Ms. Castle?
Just one comment, Ben. I want to applaud you for your effort, the work that you've done, also your ability to give a presentation. Congratulations, excellent work. I cannot tell you how pleased I am to see this parish with a long-term vision. And I think that is to your credit and to the parish president's credit, that for the first time in my life in Ascension Parish, we are looking forward aggressively to fix our problems. So thank you very much on behalf of my constituents for your efforts.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ben, for that. We'll move on to number 5, ordinance for revocation of right-of-way on Shealy Drive. Ricky?
Yeah, DPW Director Ryan Fairchild approached me about 5 weeks ago to get with our legal department and see what we could do to come up with an ordinance to revoke this dedication of this small road. It's actually 2. It's one on the east side of Shealy Drive and one on the west side. The dimensions are 60-foot right-of-way by 137 foot 10 inches. And it's basically being revoked because we have no use for it, or nor will we have use for it in the future. So he come to me, and the ordinance was drawn up by our legal department, and we asked him that you go ahead and revoke this.
Make that motion.
Moved by Councilman Kluwat.
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Casso. Any discussion? None. Motion passed. We're going to pass on item 6. Number 7, road for acceptance. Ricky, you want to take that?
Yeah, this falls under our regular bond system. Once they build out a subdivision, we put a bond, they place a bond on it, and 365 days later, when the bond's about to expire, we go look at it and make sure the roads are still holding up. These 3 roads are in good shape. Everything that was put down looks good, so we recommend that you accept these 3 roads in the parish maintenance system.
Okay, and that's for Shadows of Ascension, Pascal Drive, Thomas Avenue, and Winborn Boulevard.
Yes.
Do you need
35.
individual motions?
No, we
Or
can take
one.
them all at once.
I'll make that motion.
Moved by Councilwoman Casso,
Second.
second by Councilman Kluwat. Discussion? Parish President?
Just when we take them at the council meeting, we need to take them in individually,
Okay.
so rather than as a group.
have to do it tonight. We can do it tonight.
Feel more comfortable if you took them in individually.
All right,
Sure.
go ahead
Thank
with
you, sir.
the first one was, Pascal.
First, I will move that we take in Pascal Drive.
Second.
Second by Councilman Kluwart. Discussion? None, motion passed. Second one?
We can do,
Tom?
go ahead. Anybody? I'll take that one, Thomas Avenue.
Mr. Casso, second by Councilman Melanson.
Winburn
Discussion?
Oop.
None, motion passed.
And I'll move we take in Winburn Boulevard.
Second.
Second, moved by Councilwoman Casso, second by Councilman Kluwart. Discussion? None, motion passed. Ms. Liz, you had, Mr. Melanson made it in? All right, we'll move on to number 8.
Motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn by Mr. Melanson, second by Mr. Kluwart. We adjourn.